Hey guys, I'm Potent, and this is going to be my guide for the Dark Pact Necromancer. I've had a few people ask me if I had a guide or something like that for the build, and I didn't at the time, so I feel like I might as well make one to help any future questions that people might have. Um, Quick disclaimer before I get into my gear and skills and all that. I do not think this is the best or only way to play this build. There are definitely other ways to play the build. Um, so you can choose to do what you like and what works for you and is comfortable for your playstyle. This is just what works for me and how I like the build. Um, so first things first, what is Dark Pact? Dark Pact is in the curse tree for the Necromancer, and it is a curse spell itself, although it does not leave a curse on enemies. Instead, it consumes the curses on enemies within an area, sealing a Dark Pact and dealing damage around the enemy for each curse devoured. So what that means is for each curse on your targets, which you can stack up to 3 with the Curse Mastery in PD2, you will remove those curses and deal the amount of tooltip damage multiplied by the amount of curses removed. This damage will be dealt to each enemy that has a curse removed, as well as each enemy around any enemy that had a curse removed. This allows that damage to stack and multiply when there are 2 or 3 or 4 things right next to each other, because they'll each take the damage that the other one takes as well. So it can get really crazy and multiply really fast in large, high density attacks. So to get into the skills, here in the summoning tree is where I start. I have 20 points in the Golem Mastery and a single point in the Clay Golem and Blood Warp. The reasoning for the 20 points in the Mastery is to allow me to have the 5 Golem tanks, and the 1 point in the Clay Golem, obviously, because you can't have 5 Golem tanks without having a point in the Clay Golem. I don't feel like it's necessary to have any stronger of a Golem. However, it is possible to reduce some of your synergies if you so choose, and increase the damage of your golems and the power of your golems by putting more hard points into the clay golem. So that is an option. It's just not what I personally have decided to do in the end. So going over to the curses, I have, of course, Max, Dark Pact, and each of its synergies, or main synergies, which would be Iron Maiden and Curse Mastery. Every curse is a synergy for Dark Pact. So after you max Curse Mastery, Dark Pact, and Iron Maiden, you can kind of play around with how you want to level up these skills. I'd suggest Amplify Damage and Lower Resist, depending on what comps you're running with or what you want to do with it. But utilizing all of your curses can really help you out in group play settings, or if you're trying to do things that you may be under geared for. So as I said, Dark Pact 20, Iron Maiden 20, Curse Mastery 20. I have 1 point in Dim Vision, Life Tap, Weaken, and Decrepify. Mainly Dim Vision, these ones are essentially required just to get to lower resist. Obviously, Decrepify is nice for ranged enemies. Enemies that are already slow as well become almost, frozen. It can really help if people are under geared, things like that. So Decrepify is just a really amazing spell, even though they removed the amplify damage effect, or the negative physical resistance effect from it. I currently have 8 points in amplify damage, which gives me a negative 46% physical resistance. I don't personally need any more, or feel like I need any more, but additional points could help increase the damage of the golems and mercenary for single target. As you'll see, that is where your damage lacks significantly, is in the single target scenarios, or when things are too spread out. And then I also have 20 points into lower, sorry, not 20. I have 10 points into lower resist, giving me a negative 40 resist all. This combined with a conviction will most of the time break all immunities that can be broken. If you want to be more guaranteed to break more immunities, you can increase the amount of points you put into your lower resist. The only thing that I will warn with using lower resist in your rotation, in a group setting, or when you put more points into it, is it is one of the most expensive mana cost spells that we have. and using it in your rotation will almost double your mana cost per rotation, or at least 1.5 to 1.75 times as much. It's significantly higher, and you'll run out of mana way faster. So that's my skill setup. Uh, like I said, 5 golems, etc. As for my gear and stats, I have for the stats I have just enough strength to wear my chains of honor, which would be 77, and then I get the 20 strength from that. I actually only have 73 because I do get 4 to all attributes from my gloves. At some point, I probably will have to respec to fix that so that I'm not strength bugged in any way. If I need to swap these gloves out for, say, a pair of 30 FCR trangs instead. I run a max block build. I like max block because it helps with telestomping, teleport into a large pack. You at minimum have to assume you need to get 2 to 3 casts off to kill things around you. So the more FCR and the more chance to block you have, the more often you're going to get those casts, or quickly you're going to get those casts off and blow up the group around you. For After that, everything is into vitality. There's no point in putting any points into energy, in my opinion. You're going to be going through mana so fast with this class that you might as well just get used to drinking the potions. You can offset that with damage taken goes to mana or mana per kill items. But really, even with mana per kill items, unless you're destroying a large pack of enemies at one time, the mana return will not be anything significant towards how much you use to kill it, if it's, say, a single target or 2 targets. So for gear, I have Rite of Passage boots, just for the Cannot Be Frozen. Eventually, I would like to upgrade to maybe some CBF water walks or something. At the end of the season, or closer towards the end of the season, I'm sure I'll re-release a video with my finalized build. This is just the current build that I have with the currency that has been available to me. So CBF Rite of Passage boots, nothing special about that. I have a 10 FCR homunculus. This allows me to hit my 125 FCR breakpoint. Without that, I would be just shy of the 125 breakpoint unless I were to get a better Arachnids Mesh or Slam FCR somewhere else. I use a 3 curses 10 FCR amulet. I just slammed 10 FCR onto it, and it had 3 curses, and I focus on doing my damage with Dark Pact and cursing rather than plus to all skills. So this is the highest damage boost that I can get. I have a 220, 16 to energy, 19, all res, 3 mana after each kill circlet. This is also one of the items that I help use to get me to the 125 FCR breakpoint. The 19 all res also helps hit the all res caps. I am a bit over res in many instances. As you can see, this is hell. So I am over res, and I could lose res in, say, my charms to swap them out for health charms. But until I get those health charms to swap them out for, it's not really that big of a deal. Chains of Honor for +2 to skills, 20 to strength, rep life, all res, physical damage taken reduced by 4%. It's just an typical all around good armor. And since you have Blood Warp, you don't need an Enigma. If you want that teleport, you can just put a 1 point into Blood Warp and have a similar teleport to Enigma, if not better. Arachnid's Mesh, 1 to L skills, FCR. I have a Bite Slam on it that helps. The increase to maximum mana it also helps. As I said, you're going to be running out of mana a lot with this class. So just a generic 10 FCR ring just to help me hit that break point. Another 20 FCR ring that with some dexterity helps me hit that max block, and helps me hit that break point of 125. Train gloves, obviously best in slot, gives 2 to curses. It's the only gloves that you're going to find that will give you 2 to curses and allow you to increase your curse damage or your skill damage through a pair of gloves. My weapon, finally, is a Black Hand Key, 3 to curses, 2 to necromancer skills. This is the #1, hands down, best in slot weapon for a Dark Pact Necromancer. Because as far as I know, to my knowledge, you cannot get Dark Pact as an auto mod on wands because it is not a skill that originally was introduced in the game, and they haven't added it to the auto mods lists. So it's impossible to get that 7 Dark Pact. Hey Google, stop. Excuse me, sorry. It's impossible to get that 7 Dark Pact wand, which would be the best in slot after that. But this, if you can get a +1 to all skills slam, would be the best in slot. However, anything with 3 to curse, 2 to necromancer skills will be equally fine, and this is the only thing that has that. Typical curse skillers. I have 1 Geeds, but I do have the extra curse skiller if I wanted it. Annie Torch. As I said, some life, resistance charms, couple of FHR charms, so I can at least hit that 10 FHR breakpoint. It'd be nice to get a little bit more FHR, I would say, and life through my charms, but until I can replace some FCR in other places and get those charms to get the life, there's not really much I can do about that. So that is pretty much the skill breakdown and gear breakdown of the build. So I'll go ahead and do a couple of quick content pieces for you guys, just to give you an idea of how the build is played, in case you haven't seen. So there you stack your curses, you pop them with Dark Pact, things die. This is a nice thing to show you with the dim vision. Most ranged enemies will pretty much ignore you if you dim vision like that. There's an example of just how much damage you can get out with Dark Pact in a single shot. As you can see, I just one-shot Shank. It's about 20-something thousand damage, which I mean is not too crazy, but still decent. It's all about how well things are stacked. Something like that to happen. The things with low radiuses, if you want to run past them, you can just kind of blind them and keep moving. Use your curses as a tool to your advantage, or a weapon in your tool belt, essentially, not just to remove them with Dark Pact. You can use Life Tap to help keep your Merc and Golems alive longer. Weaken is very nice to reduce the amount of damage the enemies do. Yeah, there's just so much damage in the build when things line up right. You want to focus on killing multiple packs, ignoring single things by themselves. Just gonna waste your time if you try to play a cleanup crew. Of course, you've got to kill single targets. Let your Merc and golems do the work for you in that aspect. So for Diablo, your best bet is to really just let your merc and golems do the job for you. So drop a life tap and amp damage. Just kind of let them sit there and work. You can remove your curses. As you can see, it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Not going to be the fastest. It will speed things up. You're just going to have to go through a lot more potions. Chaos is a pretty good option. Cows, good place to farm. The pits, I love the pits with this build. Again, quick dim vision. Everything leaves you alone if you need to. The dim vision is very nice for, say, T3 maps and doing in the Zoltan Cool map or River of Blood maps where there's a lot of quill rats and archers. People may not notice or thank you for it, but they will notice that they are not dying as much. Kind of run past things as you want. But everything in the pits is usually so close together that it's very easy to just come through and just blow up everything on the screen in a couple of casts. A lot of enemies, since it's an early act, a lot of enemies are weak and can be taken down with only 2 curses cast. Weak things like that, and that was only a single curse. There's 2 curses. It's all learning how many curses it takes to get rid of a pack is all based on just getting comfortable with knowing the math behind your Dark Pact and just how much damage you can do, how close the enemies are together. As I said, you're going to be sucking through mana potions. Focus on picking them up if you're doing content, otherwise you will run out of mana. The less targets that you're attacking, the more likely you will need all 3 curses. With 1 or 2 enemies, you can very often just get away with a single curse, or not 1 or 2 enemies. With multiple enemies, you can very often get away with just a single curse, like that. Really just getting comfortable with knowing how much damage you can do in a pack or a group, and learning that spacing of just how much AoE the individual attack or damages do to each other, and around the enemies that they've targeted. Don't be afraid to waste mana. Mana pots are cheap. Sometimes you might find yourself thinking that your golems being cursed is an enemy being cursed. Eventually you'll get used to it, or maybe not. I don't know. I still, as you could see a minute ago, was just trying to blow up my own cursed golems. That's a pits. Alright guys, so that is going to be the video. It's not a whole lot of information, but hopefully it helps some of you out. If you're interested in playing the Dark Pact Necromancer, I love the build. I think it's an amazingly fun class that has a lot of, it has a very unique play style that you don't find in other builds. The tempo and the rhythm in getting into your 1 2 3 4 cast, 1 2 3 cast, 1 2 3 cast. When you really get into it and do it, it's just a fun play style and a fun build, and I really recommend people try it. It works amazing in group content. You can help people out. You're a huge CC to the group. It's very valuable in many aspects of the game. So hopefully this was informative enough. Yeah, excuse me, informative enough for people to maybe be interested or give them the start to know how to play the build. If you have any more questions, you can catch me at my Twitch at twitch.tv/potent_gaming. Otherwise, please go hit me with a follow there. And if you like the video, hit the like and subscribe button. And hopefully I will see you guys next video.